What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media in our first post-game show of the new year. Hopefully, Joshua is able to join. Having electrical problems, so hopefully he's able to do that. If not, it'll just be me. But Ravens lose 16-13. I have to say, I think that was the funniest way to lose a game I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, it's the preseason. If that happened in the regular season, you guys know I would be screaming. Like, I'd be like calling for people to like chase down John Harbaugh. But it's the preseason. Like, of course, there's no overtime. Of course, you throw the ball there. I don't have an issue with it. I do feel bad for Emory Jones because that is probably the worst first play of anyone's career in the history of the NFL. To come into a game with 16 seconds left, get strip sacked immediately, and then they kick the game-winning field goal. That's really unfortunate. So I do feel bad for him. But, I do want to say, like, just quick thoughts. I'll obviously answer questions and things like that. If you're watching in post, don't worry. We'll talk about all the players and much more analysis. But I think Nate Wiggins was fantastic. Obviously, waiting to hear about the injury. And then I think that Andrew Voorhees looked spectacular. Rosengarten looked good. Ben Cleveland at center looked good. Daniel Faalele did not look good. Sanusi Kane ended up going out with a stinger, they said, so that's not expected to be serious, but he was fantastic on special teams. And he did end up having that penalty, but I mean, I think this guy's should easily make the roster based on how well he played on special teams. Dayton Wade came out and had that initial drop, which I was like, uh-oh, this isn't good. But after that, he was phenomenal. He returned some kicks, or at least one kick I know he returned. He ended up, catching some screens, catching some underneath passes, made the guy miss on that 4th and short or 3rd and short. It was a really great play by him. And then, I wish we saw Tez Walker a little bit more. Tylan Wallace looked good. And then trying to think of any other players that I want to mention initially. Running backs. Owen Wright. Adam 78 just mentioned him. Owen Wright looked great. Undrafted rookie out of Monmouth, I believe. I was surprised he got the start, but I really liked what I saw out of him. He picked up a blitz, and it ended up being an incomplete pass, but it was a fantastic play. Guy comes in, Owen Wright just levels him. The guy ended up getting back up because Owen Wright was supposed to just chip and release. Takes the guy out, stands back up. Josh Johnson ends up like kind of getting hit as he throws and just throws it away. But very happy with Owen Wright. Rasheen Ali, he was okay. I think he was going a little bit too much east to west. I want to see a little bit more north to south. Kind of reminded me of young Justice Hill in the way that he was running. And also when we're watching that offensive line and we're watching these guys, we were getting good push. And Owen Wright, I felt like, was definitely the best when it came to hitting those holes quickly. Obviously, Rasheen Ali was playing later into the game. It didn't have Voorhees blocking for him. Had Nick Samick, for part of it. And Nick Samick wasn't bad by any means, but Ben Cleveland was pretty good at center. And Nick Samick and Andrew Voorhees was really good at left guard. So really good on the interior for both of them. And I really liked what I saw to Owen Wright, which I was surprised by. We did see a little bit of my guy, Chris Collier, who I was a huge fan of at Lock Haven and was really intrigued to see what he would do. I think he ended up having 3 runs. I'll look at the box score. Let's see here. Yeah, 3 rushes for 11 yards. Also had a kick return, but most of those plays he didn't have great blocks. He was able to have like a good 2-yard run. He had one where maybe would have been able to do a little bit more. Had a good pitch play on 2nd or 3rd down to gain a first down, which I think looked good, but not a lot to see out of the running backs outside of Owen Wright. I think he was definitely the guy that stood out as, hey, this guy's hitting the hole. He's falling forward. He's, blocking well. I want to check if he got any receptions. He did have 1 reception, 3 targets, 1 receptions, ended up taking it for 17 yards, but I really liked what I saw to him. Wasn't expecting him to go off. Saleh played really well too. Yeah, did see Saleh in the second half, and he definitely looked good. I really think the only offensive lineman that I was watching that I was upset about was Daniel Falele. Pearl at left tackle. Yeah, he wasn't very good, but Pearl, I believe, is the third string left tackle. He's not really necessarily expected to make the team. He's a camp body, potential practice squad guy. But we're not playing Ronnie. We're not going to play Patrick McCarry for, a large portion of the game. I know he played a little bit, rotating in and out with Roger Rosengarten, but the quarterback play was not good. Devin Leary did have one good drive, but outside of that touchdown drive, he looked really bad, which is disappointing because obviously the film wasn't great with him. However, it was something where we were told, like, this is the guy that T. Martin wants. And it was like, all right, like, if this is the guy we want, like, hopefully we know. But, he was just missing throws. He was, there was a third down play. I don't know if it was a miscommunication or if he just drastically overthrew the drag route, but he threw it to nobody. He was running around the pocket. He did not look composed. Again, it's his first game. He can 100% get better, but not super pleased with his performance. Josh Johnson, it was like he started off and it was like, oh, Josh Johnson's not doing that bad. And then it was like, uh-oh. But at the same time, the wide receiver play wasn't anything great. Tylan Wallace had a good sideline catch. That was like, okay, this is why we drafted Tylan Wallace. Like, not just the special teams guy, but hey, he's actually making a big play on the sideline. But other than that, I like Josh Johnson's rushing ability. He showed that off, but the Ravens just really struggled to throw the ball, which I think it's telling the way that Ravens ran this game in terms of what they're trying to figure out in terms of what they have, because they ran the ball 23 times. They passed the ball 22 times. And when you're looking at that, or at least attempted passes, I think they got sacked, so that, they passed the ball more than that. But they were trying to figure out how well these guys are run blocking, how well these receivers are blocking, because the Ravens have Derrick Henry, and they need to make sure that this offensive line that they're establishing, they are able to block for the run first. And I think, again, Voorhees was spectacular. On one of the runs on the first drive, I saw him move Jordan Davis about 5 yards off the spot and just create a monster hole for Owen Wright. And if you guys remember, I'll look up the exact size of Jordan Davis, but Jordan Davis is a freak athlete, human being. He is 6'6", 336 pounds. And remember, he's fast and strong. Voorhees moved him, and it looked like easily. So very happy with that and the run blocking we had there. Chaos says put Tylan at the 3. It just really depends. I think based on right now, like, we didn't get to see anything from Devontae Walker. And so I'm actually going to sit up a little bit so that the thing doesn't block my face. But we didn't get to see much Devontae Walker. And so what we saw to Tylan was what we are hoping Devontae Walker is able to do. But I think as it stands right now, Tylan is ahead of Tez Walker on the depth chart. And if you were looking at who's going to be getting the most snaps, I definitely think Tylan Wallace is in that running. Not to mention Tylan Wallace, great special teams player. Him and Sanusi Kane could be like elite tier gunners together on punt coverage. So very happy with that. Got one pass thrown. Let's see here. Yeah, ended up with only one target. Russell Gage had one target. Scotty Washington, Malik Cunningham. Yeah, Malik Cunningham was a little bit disappointing. I was really just surprised that Malik Cunningham was getting run so much early. I did not expect that. I felt like he would be an end of the game type of player, but he was in on the first drive of the game, which I thought was very, very surprising. Another thing to mention is the kick returns. The players the Ravens had returning kicks, Rasheen Ali, Dayton Wade, Chris Collier were the ones that ended up fielding them. And Rasheen Ali definitely had the best one that I have seen in the NFL so far. But, he gets his leg clipped, falls, lands on his elbow, the ball pops free. And right when I saw that, I was like, uh-oh. Now, I knew immediately that he was down by contact, but we do not want to see that ball hitting the field because he has had not injury. He has had fumble problems consistently throughout his career at Marshall. So do not want to see him fumbling the ball. Even if he was down, we need to make sure and be vigilant about making sure that ball stays wrapped up. KJ says, "Did Tez even play?" Barely. I want to. I'm curious to see when they come out with the report what his total count was, but I only remember seeing him out there one time. I know he got a little bit more than that, but I think he had a couple. I think Chaos says that throw Devin Leary through to the Eagles. I'm like, yeah, I was very surprised at that. I was like, that has to be a miscommunication. He probably thought the guy was running a comeback. But I mean, I think we tried to throw a comeback with him later, and the pass was just missed. Did not look good from Devin Leary. YPC, welcome back to the channel, YPC. Good to see you. We got Garage Dev at QB. D-line, O-line been decent. Thrive in the run game. The D-line was okay. We weren't getting a lot of pass rush, but I did see Tavius Robinson out there making a lot of plays. I saw Malik Harrison looked like he was in on the first drive playing pass rusher. He was an edge rusher initially. And I do want to give a shout out. I don't even know if we need to see him the rest of preseason, but oh, you're saying garbage. Okay. Makes more sense. But Trenton Simpson looked spectacular. Like, we don't need to play Trenton Simpson. If we want to play him to get him more snaps, I'm fine with it. But he was someone where I think he had 9 tackles in the first half, and he ended with 11 tackles. He was flying to the football. He was making tackles. He was wrapping up. I would agree with this. Yeah, right. Like, just sit him. Like, when you see a player is locked in or is finally able to, stand out, yeah, you can get him a little bit more reps, but this is your starting will linebacker. I don't know if it's worth having him out there. And also, I don't know if we need to see Nate Wiggins out there. Obviously, we're waiting to see what the injury is. I'm really curious to know. I'm just kind of waiting on that on the press conference notifications to talk about it. But let's see here. Harbaugh did say that Ojabo hasn't been cleared yet. No update on Nate Wiggins, so they're going to test tomorrow. Hopefully, it's just something small, but I think Nate Wiggins went out there and had just about the best possible game you could ask for from a rookie cornerback. I mean, 3 pass breakups and then another play where he's running in phase with the wide receiver and the ball hits him in the back. So that's essentially 4 pass breakups, but he was all over it. Kenny Pickett wanted to test him on that first drive. He threw 3 passes at him. All 3 were forced incomplete, and he stopped going that way. And he made the correct decision in doing that. He started throwing towards Jalen Armour-Davis, who I think still played solid. I didn't, see anything bad from him, but really excited from what I saw out of Nate Wiggins. He looks like he's the real deal. Hopefully that shoulder injury is fine, because it was a weird play. It didn't look like he took a hit off the ground. It looked like he bounced well. He didn't hit the guy wasn't running too hard. He clipped his legs with his right shoulder, but it looked pretty textbook. It did not look like a play where I was like, I saw right when he got up, I was like, oh, I think he hurt his shoulder, but like he was kind of smiling and stuff. So I was like, oh, maybe not. Maybe he's just kind of like only moving one arm. But then they took him to the medical tent, and I was like, yeah, all right, he hurt his shoulder, but kind of like hopefully it's a situation like Victor Wembanyama in his first preseason game. I think he ended up getting like he like twisted his ankle, and they were like, you know what, like you're fine to play the next game, but you're good enough. Like we all right, we saw it. We know you're good. Um KJ, yeah, like I thought that was weird when I saw him and Trenton Simpson both step out in the third quarter. I was pretty surprised just because I'm gonna fix this color. Just because I was like, we want to see the other guys. Like we don't just have to watch these two, like two starters. So I was a little bit surprised by that, but at the same time, it is a rookie cornerback. You're trying to get him NFL experience, so I understand where he's coming from with that. And I want to know what you guys thought about the end of the game. I think it was hilarious. Unfortunately, very unfortunate for Emory Jones, but like this is preseason. The Ravens don't have to win every game. And that I think is why they ended up kicking that field goal on the second when they got to the 2 yard line or 1 yard line on fourth down. I think they kicked that field goal because they don't need to win. What they need to do is practice in the proper situations. And they felt like guaranteeing a field goal and getting more reps, more experience at the kick coverage is going to be more valuable than finding out how good Josh Johnson and Rasheen Ali are at the goal line. So I think that was my thoughts. I was like, oh, I want him to go for it. And then I was just like, honestly, if they kick it, it guarantees that kick coverage practice. And I think the Ravens care much more about that. And I would agree. Remember, this is preseason. We are not going to run anything complicated on offense. We're not going to run anything complicated on defense. Like the first two drives, it felt like we were just sitting in Tampa 2 almost the entire time. We weren't blitzing a whole lot. That's what Mike McDonald would do in the preseason as well. Remember that? Like it wasn't a situation where we were calling complex blitzes. We are just trying to figure out, hey, how can we look in base defense? It's very similar to, I think, the East and West game at like the Senior Bowl. That's what they do as well. Like they run like base cover 2, they run base cover 3, they run some man coverage, but they don't stunt. They don't run difficult blitzes. They're just trying to figure out how well these guys can play in their spots. And KJ, I definitely agree. Like if the Ravens need to win, I think they go for it on that 4th and goal. But instead, they were like, honestly, let's figure out how to do this. Because the first kickoff that we had, Justin Tucker kicked it too far. And, they got the ball at the 30 rather than, trying to get a return, because I think their best return was to like the 25, maybe 26 yard line. So working on those kickoffs is valuable. And I will say, after watching it, I don't think we should have Justin Tucker do them. I don't think it makes any sense. Like, I think Jordan Stout can probably kick it just as well in terms of doing a kickoff, but he's probably a better tackler. So, like, I don't know. That's my thought. It's like, why are we having Justin Tucker as the last line of defense? I feel like we should just have someone else kick it and then go for it, because why are we risking our kicker? Like, he's the best kicker of all time. Don't risk his injury. But we'll see. Yet to see him need to make a tackle or anything like that. Zach Orr coached good today. I don't think the run game was his fault. Yeah, I mean, like these games are not coached to be schemed up. They are, we're gonna show you a 4-man front almost every time, and if you can run the ball, that's great. But the Ravens also know that the Eagles aren't going to sit there and just run the ball all over them, because they want to find out, how does Kenny Pickett look? How does Tanner McKee look? How does, receiver XYZ look? How does tight end look? How does the offensive line look in pass sets? We would be mixing things up a lot more if it was a situation that we needed to win, or a situation where we knew that they weren't going to be going, to try and figure out new schemes. This is pretty basic fundamental football, and we watch it for very specific reasons, and the coaches are looking for very specific things. Jonathan, thank you so much for the super chat. Says that was laugh out loud. Why put in a different quarterback at the end? Yeah, I think that part was a little bit weird. We put in Emory Jones with 16 seconds left, and obviously he ends up having the fumble. Whatever, the game doesn't matter at that point. But I was just surprised that, first off, Josh Johnson played so much. I was expecting him to get like maybe just the first quarter, and then Devin Leary play second, third quarter, and then we would have Emory Jones play the fourth quarter. But I mean, I'm really surprised that we did play Emory Jones. Like, you're putting a guy in with 0 NFL experience in a game with 16 seconds left to try and throw the ball deep. And obviously he ends up getting sacked. But like, I laughed. I was like, that was kind of hilarious because like no regular season game would end like that. That is why teams take a knee with 16 seconds left and no timeouts. Every team would take a knee in that situation, including the Baltimore Ravens, if it was a must-win game. But it was like, hey, why not? Like, we're gonna see what his arm can do. See, maybe he throws a jump ball, see what someone else can do. But yeah, I thought that was really funny. But thank you again for the super chat. And Nana, shout out to Nana. Welcome back to the channel. Good to see you. Says Harbaugh is the worst signings. We shouldn't have been out there. A repeat when JK shouldn't have been out in that game. Yeah, no, I think like the Ravens have had issues with players getting injured in the preseason. And so having players that have shown you, yeah, I'm legit, especially rookies, why are we playing them even more? Now, I would understand it if you're an Atlanta Falcons team that already has Kirk Cousins and you watch Michael Penix's first drive. And even if he's really good, you're like, honestly, let's give him the first half because he's not going to play in the regular season. So like, obviously you don't want an injury to happen. You hope it doesn't happen. But if he does get injured, it's not going to be detrimental to your team. Nate Wiggins and Trenton Simpson are like clear starters on this team. And we just needed to make sure, hey, how do they look? Trenton looked great. You should pull him once you're convinced. Honestly, Nate Wiggins probably should have been pulled after the first drive because it was like, yeah, he's good. Like, he doesn't need to do any more reps. And unfortunately, he ended up getting injured. It's fun to watch him out there. He was probably having a good time. Like, he was playing lockdown coverage, but, a little bit unfortunate for that. I get why he's playing. Like, you want to get him snaps against NFL caliber wide receivers, see how he does against different body types. He went against Johnny Wilson on the first drive, who's a 6'6" receiver. He went against Ross, who's a smaller guy, but we're going to find out what ends up happening with him. Hopefully everything's all good. Hopefully he's on track to start the season, but I don't think we necessarily need to see him for the rest of preseason. I see a lot of people on Twitter say like, oh, we saw that play. Like, they're good. Like, we don't need to see any more. And then Brandon, you know what, guys? I'm going to lower my desk. Give me 1 second because this is annoying me. It's blocking my face. 1 second. Aha. Fancy. All righty. We're back. Now it's not blocking my face. So I'll read this again. Here we go with Harbaugh treating their young receivers like garbage, not playing them and keeping players that were making a bunch of plays on the field. Yeah, I was surprised with that. Like, it was nice to see Dayton Wade get a lot of reps as an undrafted rookie, but Devontae Walker, who, I had read some good things about him at camp, not getting I don't think he got any snaps in the first half, got a couple in the second half, but it's tough for these wide receivers when the quarterback plays so bad to really make an impact. We did not have the pass protection in a lot of those situations to take a deep shot. We didn't have necessarily the accuracy to do the underneath stuff. There was just a lot of missed throws, and really the only way the Ravens were able to move the ball was back when they had their main offensive line in, and they were running with Owen Wright. Like that was really all the success that they had came from Owen Wright rushing the football and being in on the offense. So shout out to Owen Wright, shout out to those players, but wish we could have seen more from the passing game, but sometimes it just comes down to like what players you have. And that's the benefit that Tyler Huntley brought to the Ravens was in the preseason, teams still had to worry about his legs. And so it was harder to get a pass rush on him. And so he was able to throw the ball a little bit more, give the receivers a little bit more opportunity than guys like Devin Leary and Josh Johnson. Because, yeah, I would agree. Like, I wish we had another backup quarterback. I was shocked at the Devin Leary pick. Like, not that like I didn't think we should take a quarterback. I was like pro quarterback in the draft, but did not love that selection. And he did have his last drive was good, so we got to give him credit there. But Josh Johnson is not like Josh Johnson isn't good. He's like I don't even know what to say. Like I don't know why the Ravens are like okay with him being their backup. Like if he ends up beating someone out, like another vet, fine. But like I'd probably rather have RG3 play than Josh Johnson. Tyler Noodle Arm Huntley, yeah. Not a big fan of Tyler Huntley, but he did bring that. Walker hasn't been practicing. That makes sense. If he's not been out there, like, yeah, sure, like give him a little bit of a rest. So that makes a little bit more sense. Tylen, I love Tylen. Tylen played a very good game. We know what he's going to bring on special teams, but seeing the wide receiver aspect of it, panning out is exciting. Adisa, I don't think Adisa played. He just got activated or designated for return from injury. So I didn't expect to see him out there at all. And I don't think we did. I don't think if he's had any practices, he's had like one since he got hurt. If anyone balls out after the Devin Leary pick, I'm going to Krakatoa. I think that, Sanusi Kane, I really like that pick. And I think he looked really good. But, I think the biggest thing is look for the quarterbacks taken after Devin Leary. Because that was a surprising pick. And he's not a young player. He's not polished. And I don't necessarily understand why we took him. But, hoping for the best. Hopefully he has a bounce back game. Yeah, I definitely think Tyler Huntley would have done better than Johnson out there. I think that Tyler Huntley is probably a better backup quarterback than Josh Johnson, especially for the preseason. Like in the regular season, Josh Johnson's probably better because he can dissect the defense a lot faster. He can make those quick decisions. He's still not good, but he has a much better understanding and ability to play under pressure than Tyler Huntley does. But like Tyler Huntley's, scrambling ability, Tyler Huntley's, creativity allows him to flourish in preseason games and against lower level competition. But, at the same time, Josh Johnson, he should look better against preseason players. Now, part of it was offensive line, but, also the receivers that he was working with, like, he had a little bit of Tylan Wallace, but it was like he's thrown to Malik Cunningham, who did not look good at receiver, by the way, which is unfortunate. I like Malik Cunningham. He didn't really get much Dayton Wade. It was a lot of I think he got a little bit of Sean Ryan. He got a little bit of Washington, but I would have liked to see him with, Russell Gage. I would have wanted to see him with more Tylan Wallace. That's how we should be judging him. But instead, we really kind of got him with the C level Ravens receivers. So hopefully he would play better with the other guys. And yes, 100%. Knock on wood. Players like Brendan Rice. Yeah, I like Brendan Rice. We'll see how he turns out. I'm excited to watch the Chargers preseason game just to see the Baltimore Chargers or the I guess it's the Los Angeles Ravens. See how they perform. These backup quarterbacks we've had over the years have been bad. Imagine if we didn't draft Lamar. Oh my goodness. Could you guys imagine if we didn't draft Lamar Jackson and Ozzie just left and, didn't make that trade for pick 32? And it was like Joe Flacco with Hayden Hurst. And, he goes down with an injury and it's all of a sudden RG3. Like the Ravens are losing like all those games. They probably get a good pick in the next year's draft, but not the number one pick. We might have ended up with like the best case scenario would have been like Tua, but we probably would have been like slightly better than getting Tua or Herbert, but like we wouldn't have drafted Love that early. So like we probably would have gone for like a round 2 or round 3 guy, and we wouldn't have been early enough for Hurts. So I do not know what the Ravens quarterback situation would be, but I do not think it would be good. Maybe we would have drafted Trace McSorley still and just been rocking with him. I think the offensive line was definitely addressed. We drafted a right tackle. Last year, we traded a pick in this year's draft to get a player that was expected day 2 at guard, which is where the top tier guards go. They go day 2. Very rarely do you see day 1 guards. So like we're adding in like a top tier guard prospect and a very good right tackle prospect. And we already have like it's just like the right guard, and we have players that we're trying out there. I think it's going to be Ben Cleveland, but we'll see. How did our future starting right tackle play? Rosengarten looked really good. I really liked Roger Rosengarten. Very nice to see him come in and just play well. I'll take Tannehill at this point. Honestly, Tannehill would be a fantastic backup quarterback for the Ravens. I would love that. Is he not signed? That would be really surprising to me. Wow, he is a free agent. Yeah, I would love to go out there and get Tannehill. Honestly, I'm not going to judge John Harbaugh. And you guys know I'm not a Harbaugh guy. I don't love Harbaugh. I think he's a good coach. I don't necessarily think this is the best situation for him right now. But I'm not going to judge him on how a preseason game is called. I understand the decisions that he made. Like, I get why he played Nate Wiggins. I would disagree with that philosophy, but it was like, you know what? They wanted to get him experience. Hopefully, it's a minor injury and we're going to be fine. But, you guys know I don't love Brother Jim, but, at this point in the season, in the off season, I'm not ready to make any changes on my opinion. Like, yeah, we lost the game, but it's preseason. It doesn't matter. I like the decision to kick the field goal. So that was fine. And yeah, because I agree, Cleveland definitely looked good at center. Would be a very solid backup option if needed. The thought process I've seen on Twitter, I can't remember who I saw, but they said that they mentioned like back with like Ben Powers, how we didn't know, like he wasn't like playing in preseason, and then like week 1 happened and he just like was the starting guard. Maybe that's the thought with Ben Cleveland is we really need to see what other players can bring at guard, but we know what he can bring. So maybe he doesn't play guard in the preseason, but just slides into it at the start of the season if Falele can't cut it, which as it looks right now, he can't. But he's new to the position. It's his first time playing guard. Hopefully he can get better. Let's see here. What else happened? I will say I hope that in the next game we try and throw the ball a little bit more just to see more out of these receivers because we really got very little. Um, and especially out of the tight ends, we got next to nothing. And the tight ends are like such an important part of the Baltimore Ravens offense. Not having like a lot of options for that is a little bit upsetting because like I think like I don't even know like if a tight end had a target. I guess Scotty Washington had one target, and I think that's the only one that I can see. That's a little bit disappointing for a team that prides themselves in their tight end play. So hopefully we see a little bit more passing, maybe some two tight end sets, some hard play actions just to see like how does Josh Johnson look? Because knock on wood again, say Lamar goes down with an injury, we still have Derrick Henry. The hard play action game would still be a massive part of the Baltimore Ravens game plan. So testing out how those shot plays and things like that would work, I think would be worthwhile. Like I think we need to see how the offensive line holds up when they know we need to take a shot. How do these receivers track the ball downfield? I'm not a big fan of running our preseason offenses and we're not taking any chances because this is the time to find out whether or about the risk reward with these chances, right? How good is player X? Maybe it's Tyler Wallace, maybe it's Tez Walker, maybe it's Russell Gage, maybe it's Kadir Ishmael. How good are they downfield? You won't know unless you try it in these games. And I don't think it's worthwhile just checking the ball down consistently when you should at least give your guys some attempts downfield. But Bo Brady, yeah, no, I definitely agree. He definitely Bo Braid made some good plays. So that was good to see. Safety out of Maryland, right? I'm pretty sure. But like looking at the defense, like Eddie Jackson was in on the first series. He didn't look bad at all. Didn't play a lot, but was nice to see. Pepe looked decent. He was playing the slot, which is something to note because we don't know who exactly will be the slot receiver or slot quarter. So he didn't look bad at all. And we're gonna see that battle. Who's the backup at slot? Because I think initially it'll be Marlon and Brandon Stevens kind of switching out in slot because both can do it. But if someone ends up getting hurt or someone needs just a rest, I think Pepe right now is that guy that's slotting into the slot receiver. I did not want to say slot that many times, but I guess we did. Um, let's see here. Yeah, Josh Ross and Trenton Simpson definitely looked like they were carrying the front seven, and then Nate Wiggins was spectacular. AD at slot, is that Ardarius, I assume, or is that somebody else? Or are you saying add a slot? Let me know. Because we could definitely see Ardarius at slot as well. But I mean, this game was a lot of fun. It was a fun ending. It's nice to see Ardarius. Yeah, no, I could totally see Ardarius playing slot for us, but it's just like it's nice to see these guys get out there. It's nice to see the rookies look good. Outside of Devin Leary, I think all the rookies looked pretty good, at or above expectations. And honestly, Devin Leary kind of played to what my expectations were. So like that wasn't even like a disappointment for me at least. But really happy with what I saw out of Nate Wiggins. Really happy with what I saw out of Roger Rosengarten. Loved Sanusi Kane's performance. Devin Leary, didn't play great, but I wasn't expecting him to play great. We didn't get to see Adisa Isaac. We didn't get to see much Devontae Walker because he's coming back from injury. And we didn't get to see TJ Tampa. And then Nick Samick at the end looked fine. The Ravens were able to run the ball up the middle, and they did good. And I think he was in on the QB sneak, which worked. So good job there. I'm going to probably stay on for another couple of minutes. So if you guys ask some more questions, I can definitely talk about them. But if not, it's been a lot of fun. I'm glad to be back. Joshua and I will definitely record a podcast at some point next couple of days, really outlining certain players, highlighting how they performed. But it's been a lot of fun. Thank you guys for coming through. And then just let me know if you guys have any questions as we kind of wrap up the night. But very excited to see what the next preseason game is, which the Ravens take on the Falcons, which will be a lot of fun because you guys know one of my favorite football players I've ever watched is Michael Penix Jr. So will be a lot of fun because I watched a couple of his drives and they were just throwing the ball every play. I think that game started 30 minutes before the Ravens game and it ended about 15 minutes after the Ravens game did because both Miami and Atlanta were just slinging it. And Michael Penix looked good. He missed one throw that I saw. I missed his first two drives, but he missed an out route. There was a dropped ball. He got he threw on another one. Like, obviously he had incompletions, but I thought he looked good. His arm looks wicked fast. And it's a lot of fun to watch. So everyone stay tuned. Yeah, Michael Vick Jr. I missed the second half. What happened to Wiggs? So they threw a check down to, I think, a running back. Wiggins came in, dove for the tackle, hit the guy in both of his feet with his shoulder, got up right away. He just wasn't lifting his shoulder. He wasn't grabbing it. He was just not lifting his shoulder. Hustled over the sideline, went to the blue tent, went to the locker room. They said it was a shoulder injury. And Harbaugh said they're going to do some testing to really figure out what the full extent is. So we'll find out more tomorrow. Hopefully it's not a big deal. Benefit is we have a month until the season starts. So if it is, a 2-3 week injury, he'd still be ready for week 1. But remember, we just have to make sure that we're ready for the end of the season. Hopefully it's not a, multiple month long injury, but if it is, knock on wood, I still wouldn't be like crazy worried about the end all for this season. But I think that's going to be it, guys. Thank you all so much for coming through. Subscribe for more daily Ravens content and obviously the pregame, postgame streams because it's a lot of fun. And DB, I'm with you. 100%. Thank you guys so much. And I'll see all of you again tomorrow.